Are you feeling overwhelmed and uncertain about how to scale your business sustainably? Do you have big dreams for your business, but you're struggling to turn them into reality? Or maybe you're just tired of sacrificing your health, your well being, time with your family, and your own self care all in the pursuit of success. Not only is this not sustainable, but it can lead to increased stress and decreased productivity in the long run. Don't let the chaos of running a business hold you back any longer. Join our 12-month Real Women, Real Business Mastery program and start building the business of your dreams with clarity and confidence. If you're ready to achieve six-figure plus revenue growth, rediscover your passion for your business, and say goodbye to overwork, then let's chat. Book a free business planning session at aboutshaunalynn.com/plan. Check out the link in the show notes. Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Business podcast. I am your host, Shauna Lynn Simon, and today I have an extra special guest with me today. If you are in the home staging industry or the interior design industry or the redesign, restylist, property stylist industry, you definitely know this person. She has been an absolute force in the industry for more than a couple of decades at this point, and she is someone who has always inspired me. She has so much energy and she's an absolute powerhouse. She's a business strategist. She's a business coach. She's, I've got so many quotes in my head and lines that she has said that have resonated with me and stuck with me for so many years. So today we have the CEO of the Real Estate Staging Association, Shauna Brodnax. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the warm introduction.
Well, I know I went completely off script, so I have a lovely bio for you that I would have loved to read, but honestly, I feel like you are so much more than a bio. I mean, there's so much history to all that you have done, and all of it kind of centers around the same theme. So I want to, let's give everyone just a brief history. Tell us how you got into home staging, the home staging industry in the first place. Let's talk about some of that.
Absolutely. Well, prior to being coming into the home staging industry, I was a licensed private investigator. And I was in that career and got to the point where this is before Google. We didn't have like social media. This is like, you had to have a serious skill set. You just couldn't be an internet sleuth. Like you can find everything online now.
Right.
Digging through court records and CD-ROMs of records that were antiquated the second that they were printed. Talking to people on the phone, pulling a gag so you can get somebody to give you information. I kind of topped out. It was like there was nothing that was a challenge anymore. I actually found one of the key deciders was that I was working an insurance claim at one point, and the job that I had to do was find the owner of a dead cow that was out in the middle of a Hialeah, Florida highway, and a rental car hit it. The cow was pregnant. The calf was ejected from the cow. So we said it was decaffeinated cow at that point.
Oh my gosh.
Make jokes about it because it was horrible.
Yeah.
And I had to find the owner of that cow. And I found the owner of the cow through really good PI work and some common sense. And after that, it was like, I could do anything. And I'm like, now there's no more challenge in it. So I decided to move on. And so I went to work for someone who was teaching staging training for people to start staging as a business. And I was there for about 6.5 years. And at that point in time, other people had come on the scene with staging training companies. And the one thing that I noticed in the industry, I was very heavily involved with Women's Council of Realtors. Changed my career. I loved the organization. I loved being part of something. There's also men in Women's Council, but there was a sisterhood of entrepreneurs that were all literally competitors with each other. And some were affiliates that they were just competing for business. But it was just such a wonderful place to be able to go and to commiserate and to get with other like-minded women and share that sisterhood of entrepreneurship. And we didn't have that in staging industry. We had one organization, but it was more of an alumni group than anything else. You couldn't join unless you took a specific training. So I knew thousands of people in the industry at that point, and I was talking to people, and it just became obvious. Everybody was saying what they wanted. They needed unity. And I said, you need a trade association like the National Association of Realtors or the American Bar Association, the Canadian Bar Association. And we did it. And after a lot of research and pulling a lot of people together and so a few battles, we founded RISA, and we haven't looked back since. That was in 2007.
And I love what you're saying. No, everyone was saying that this was needed, but you're not, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all saying like, oh, I'm just going to go and start this trade association, but you're like, well, I'm just going to go and do it. And actually it's funny. Sarah Blakely, I don't know if you follow Sarah Blakely at all, the inventor of Spanx, but I follow her on Instagram, and she has all these different coffee mugs. She takes pictures of herself drinking out of different coffee mugs with cool sayings on them. And one of the most recent ones said something along the lines of, I keep thinking somebody ought to do that. And then I realize I'm somebody. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what you did. You're like, well, somebody should create a trade association. Oh, well, I'm somebody. I guess I should go create a trade association.
I wasn't doing anything else, so I figured, why not?
But I mean, I think it takes a pretty powerful person to be able to say, I'm going to create a trade association where I am not responsible for my own salary. I'm not responsible for what I get to do every day, essentially. Like, you put it into the hands. Like, this is a not-for-profit, legitimate trade association. It crosses all the I, or crosses all the T's, dots all the I's. It is completely structured as a not-profit, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. I do not own it. If I decide to go cuckoo and the board of directors does not like something I have done, they can absolutely have the power to let me go off and find new opportunities.
And that takes, like I said, that takes a pretty powerful person, I think, to say, I'm going to create this for the industry and I'm going to give it to the industry and allow them to control it. Because as someone, of course, my background is in home staging, and I am one of those training providers in home staging as well. So, it's nice to know that there's an association that is out there for the benefit of the community as a whole, not for one person's benefit. What made you so passionate though about like this industry? Like, what has fueled that passion over the years? Because you've been doing this, you started, Risa, was it 2007?
2007, and my first year in the industry was 2002, so it's 22 years.
Wow. So, I mean, I guess you've seen a whole lot over the years in the home
I've seen it
staging
all. I
industry.
know
A
where
lot of
all the
changes.
bodies are buried, let me tell you. I just can't remember where they're at now.
Perfect. That's perfect though. And I know, we talk about sisterhood in the home staging industry. Predominantly, it has been very female dominated. Sure. We've definitely seen a significant shift in that, especially in the most recent years. A lot of men joining, joining their wives oftentimes as well, but men on their own as well. And but nonetheless, we talk about, you've always talked about a sisterhood. I've known you for a number of years. You've always talked about sisterhood and women raising each other up. And you have always had a vision for what sisterhood looks like and what it really means. Do you want to share a little bit about that vision?
Yeah. My thing with sisterhood is this: we all, as women, are never going to all like each other. It just is what it is. Some chicks you vibe with, some chicks you don't. Sisterhood means having the respect for that person, not to take them out at the knees for sport.
Yeah.
There's just no need for it. There are competitors that can actually be friends and say, I have a home staging business, you have a home staging business, I'm going to bid this job at 10, you came in at 11:30, I'll meet you at Panera Bread at 1:15. And they can have a tuna sandwich and some cheddar broccoli soup. It's one of those things that this can happen, and it does happen. But then you see other people in the industry that are like, nope, not going to speak to somebody. I'm going to block them on social media. And then they start with the non-benefit of the doubts of everything, as far as wondering, do they follow my agents? Do they do this? Do they do that? They did a special and they did it just to make me angry, or, things like of that nature, which is never true. It's just, people always jump to these conclusions that are really not legitimately there. So I just want to see women support each other, and we don't have to be bagging on each other, and you don't have to tear others down, and, do your best. Sometimes just silence, just don't need to comment.
Well, and I like what you're saying here, though, too. I think a lot of times we talk about, raising up other women, and a lot of people think, well, yeah, I can absolutely do that with people who are not my competitors, but I can't do that with my competitors because they're my competitors. And one thing that I learned long ago in the industry is that I always looked at other home stagers as my colleagues. Now, I don't operate a home staging business anymore. I do operate an interior design business. Lots of interior designers out there that, same deal. These are my colleagues. And I can remember back in the staging days, it wasn't uncommon to have, 2 or 3 stagers bidding on a project. And my favorite is when the real estate agents would tell us, that they have so-and-so bidding on their project as well. And oh, they came in way lower. And meanwhile, I'm like, I know what their pricing is. There's no way they came in lower than me. Or I'm calling them up and I'm like, hey, did you just do a bid for John over on Main Street there? Yeah, yeah. I bid this one. What did you bid? Cool, cool, cool. Because he's telling me you bid like half of what I bid, like just we can verify those things. And it's still, I was not the least priced stager around, and I had no issue. If someone wants to bid $3,000 lower than me, by all means, I'm not going to trash them. I'm going to talk about why I think that I am the best choice. And you can do that without ever having to tear somebody else down.
It's a miracle, isn't it?
It's so crazy. I know, it's wild. You can sell your value without having to take away someone else's. Yep. And I think that is something that we're starting to see it more and more. I think, women are still trying to figure out who we are in business in general. I mean, we had male role models initially that we were like, oh, okay, that's what leadership looks like. I should just be like them. Then we started realizing, well, women have a lot of pretty amazing characteristics that maybe we should start bringing some of that to leadership and getting rid of some of these other traditional leadership aspects of it. But we're still trying to figure out what it all looks like. And, a lot of women still feel like we have to work 10 times harder to be able to get the same recognition, and to, we can't say the same things that men say that they get away with, so sisterhood is something I think is a constant challenge, but having more and more people like yourself who are promoting it, who are encouraging it, is so key to that strength. And you also have a business that's called Sisterhood, correct?
Sisterhood Stables. Yes, my horse business.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your horse business, shall we? Because
let me tell you, it warms the cockles of my cold, dead heart. It's one of those things that I knew when I bought the farm that I wanted to run the business, because horses are expensive and they wreck themselves on a regular basis. So need to get some income in, because the vets are quite expensive for a horse compared to a dog. And I have a good group of clients. Most of my clients have been with me for 4 years. I have a couple new ones, and the only reason that they're new is because the other clients' horses passed away. Oh. And they still have horses here because they have other horses that didn't pass away, but they were old. And apparently I'm like the queen of hospice care now in my reputation. And so I've developed a great reputation in the area of going that extra mile as a barn owner and providing medical care when it's needed, because not all horse owners are equipped to handle the medical care. And even if they can do certain things, their schedules may not allow for it. They may live 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away, to have to drive back and forth, in order to tend to a horse. So I've found my niche, what sets me apart from everybody. And word of mouth keeps my barn full, and me keeping my clients happy keeps them full. Making the right decisions is always about the horse. But we have a nice sisterhood. We have one man. We've each donated a quarter ovary to him so he can be here.
Perfect.
And fill in. But he's great. And his wife is here with her horse. And he's got a good group of people.
I absolutely love that. You talked about finding your niche. Mm-hmm. And this is, you're running a stable. It's not a home staging business. It's not an interior design business, but this is still a business. And I know you had a whole vision for, you mentioned about buying the farm, and what you didn't share was all this, the vision that you had prior to that. You moved from the West Coast to the East Coast. Like, there's a whole thing behind all of this. I know it wasn't a small thing, but just like anyone starting a new business, you started out on this new venture. You started from zero, basically, and you built yourself a business. And you've got these great clients, but not only that, but you've built yourself a reputation within the industry as well. And that's what's key to all of this. So you talked about having your niche. Like, let's talk more about that. What's the value of having, because I know a lot of people are concerned about niching down, and then they're afraid of losing clients or losing out on a market.
I think that having a niche for something doesn't have to dismiss the rest of what it is that you do. But I always say to people when I interview, and I interview my clients, they come here because they think they're interviewing me to look around. I'm interviewing them to make sure that they're a good fit, because if I see a red flag, I'm going to move you along and I'm going to send you to Laura. And so it's just not going to work for us. So I really screen my clients. I only work with the people that I think are going to be a great fit, great personality fit, great everything, and to know that I can give their horse the care that they want and need. For me, the niche of specializing in, going that extra mile, not a lot of barn owners want that responsibility. They don't want to have to come out and wrap a foot every night or to give an injection or to do whatever needs to be done. In, less than an hour, I'm going out to give an IV injection in a horse's neck for the farrier. So we can drug the horse so he can get his feet worked on.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that value, because number one, the owner would pass out. She can't even watch me do it. She's not that type of person. And, she always feels bad about it. I'm like, look, not everybody's built this way. Me, I'm like, when the vets are here, I'm like up underneath there going, what's that? Show me that. What about this? Can I do it? And, they teach me. So I learn a lot of things. So I've been able to now where the vets will say, no, we're just going to prescribe the shot, the injection for you. Shell can administer it. I don't have time to come on Tuesday. And they trust me to be able to do that. That's pretty valuable.
Absolutely.
To know that, even if somebody's horse was going to colic, which is a big stomach disruption for them, and there's multiple kinds, but if they need a drug called Banamine and they need an IV injection to get it in there and on board quickly, and the owner can't, and the vet said, give them some Banamine, that we know that I can get that on board now and the horse doesn't have to suffer and wait until a vet can get out here.
Right.
So there's so many benefits for doing what it is that I do. And I think that in any business, it's the same thing. Figure out what you're known for. So even like in a restaurant business, if what I don't get about small owner boutique restaurants, why y'all have fries that come out of a bag? I don't get it. I don't get it. Taters are cheap, man. Get some hand cut fries and be known for that, and do some sort of special seasoning and some special sauces. And if you're a burger joint somewhere, make yourself known for that.
Right.
Make yourself known for the burger as well. But if you can niche in on something, people might just come for your fries, but they're coming for the whole experience. And they just know that, hey, this burger joint's got the best fries around. They're hand cut. They've got all these different sauces. Make yourself stand out in some way.
Yeah. I mean,
And
every chef knows they have a signature dish. Yeah.
Yeah. Signature dish. It's the same thing. What's your signature service? What's your signature niche?
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you feel that you're really passionate about, that comes to you naturally, is what I would capitalize on.
I think that is the key, that a lot of times people are like, well, what should it be? What, yes, you look to the market and see what the market is demanding that you could offer, but make sure it's something that is authentic to you as well. Like, make sure it's something you actually want to do. And so you talked about, you interview your clients as opposed to them interviewing you. So now, one of the things that I run into often with all of my accidental CEOs, especially, that I love dearly, but these are my passion-driven entrepreneurs who followed a passion, started a business, doing something that they love, but now they're like,
now I got to run a business.
Now I got to run a business, which means I need to get clients in. Like, I just want to do the thing that makes me happy, but I need to get clients in to be able to do the thing that makes me happy. And so then there's this scarcity mindset of, well, I don't know if I were to turn this person like, yep, I'm seeing all these red flags. I don't think this is my ideal client. It's not the type of service I want to offer. I mean, I have heard it all, but they're like, but I need money. Right. And I can understand, and there's times where I've said to my clients, like, listen, sometimes you just got to take some money, even if it's not the service you want to do. But I do believe in saying no to the red flags. Like, there are, like, don't just take anything that comes your way, because certain things are going to cost you more money than not. But like, what is your best advice? I mean, you built this business. What were you thinking when you were trying to get the clients in? Because I know you, like, this farm isn't cheap. Like, you've got to be able to pay the bills as well.
Well, I'll tell you, on day 4 of me living here, we were not even unpacked. Didn't even have a bed set up. No furniture in the house, because we got rid of everything because we had to drive across country to get here. It took us 5 days to get here. My first client taught me everything I didn't want ever to happen again. And I have enough experience, worldly experience, to know, don't let that ever happen again.
Right.
Because it's just not going to be great. So I knew instantly, and I just had enough to where I say, okay, I literally wrote down, what type of client am I looking for? Am I looking for personality traits? And I am looking for all those things, because for me, what I do is I'm trying to create some camaraderie and some sisterhood amongst humans, as well as providing a herd dynamic for the horses. Sure. So a lot of time, it's always about the horses, but then I can't have people coming in, telling everybody else what to do and criticizing their writing and things like that. So when I see things like that in an interview, I'm like, dead to me club. I can't have it.
Right.
And the thing with people is that we all see the red flags. we all sometimes ignore them, and some of us ignore them all the time. And you just
Right.
have to be afraid not to ignore those red flags, because it is going to, every time you turn down somebody that's not a right client fit, you just got more experience in doing it. You put out into the universe of what you don't want, so you're not going to attract that back into you, and it makes room for the right one to show up.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
absolutely does. And I know people just don't believe it, but I say, just trust me and try it for a little bit, because it will happen. It's a
Yeah.
good exercise to go through with turning people down for things, and it can be very empowering.
Another thing that you mentioned as well is that you send them to someone else. I think you said like
I
there's
do.
like I had that in my home staging industry. There was another staging company that we did things very differently. That was great. That worked out really well. When someone wasn't a fit for me, chances are they were going to be a really good fit for this other person. So that's the other thing too. If you can find a great local business that you can refer people to, that often will solve the problem. I think a lot of people kind of shy away from that because they're afraid it's like dumping a bad client off. There are sometimes where like, yeah, you don't want to refer someone to anyone because they're just going to be trouble for anyone. But there's
Yeah.
other times where it could be a really good fit.
But I have a solution for that. So, number one, that's another good reason why to view people as colleagues instead of competitors, because I can call, hey, Laura, I've got somebody that I know right now is not going to be a good fit for me. Can you handle this type of personality? Or even before, Laura, let's exchange business. What type of personalities are you looking for? What do
Right.
you absolutely not want? And then I have a sense and idea. And then I do that with all the other education providers, all the other stables in the industry as well, where I'm at locally, and we exchange our information. So I'll be able to
Perfect.
say, you know what? I get a phone call probably every 2 days, sometimes every day, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
multiple in a day, but I'm always full. And this is a good problem to have, but I will always round robin it out to everybody else. And I ask them, what are you looking for? Are you a specific training barn? Because I know that
Right.
somebody just does dressage or somebody does this. And so then I can kind of match them up a little bit and send them on their way. And I'm successful at doing it. I got a good word put out for me because I referred somebody to someone else. So they know it. I say, tell them Shell sent you, and
Yeah.
they will do that. So it just builds good camaraderie in the local community. And you can do that with every type of business out there. In fact, I think you get more play out of sending somebody directly to a competitor, a colleague competitor with a good relationship, than you do by just not helping them whatsoever. Because that person's going to get back to them, and it just brings you, it's karma. It just comes back.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. For sure. And I think that, that's something that that client's also going to remember. And so they might have a time down the road where maybe, they're trying to send someone to a stable and they don't think that their current stable is the right fit for them for whatever reason,
Right.
not because they're having a bad experience, but maybe they feel like, what, actually Shell specializes in, more of this hospice type care. We're going to send a referral there instead. I mean, I'm going to definitely age myself with this one. And technically even I'm actually too young for this, but Miracle on 34th Street. And
Okay. Oh, you're in my era. Thanks, Shauna Lynn.
you're welcome. Uh, but for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, I think that it is one of those timeless movies. And part of the issue is that Santa Claus works for a specific department store. And when people are coming to him asking for items that that store doesn't have, he's sending them to the store they can get them from. And he gets in trouble from his employer telling him not to do that. And he's like, I don't understand. Why wouldn't you want to do that for them? And it's just, it goes like this thing. I'm not going to say what decade it's actually from, but let's just say like this is not a new concept, everyone.
Right. It is
It's been
not
around
new.
for some time. It's not a new
It's
concept. It's
brilliant, though. It's just brilliant. And when you give from your heart, we're like, you're not going to work with these people anyway.
right.
If you know somebody else out there is doing a good job, do a good deed and send it out that way so the karma can
Yeah,
come right back to you. A
absolutely. And make everybody else's lives just a little bit simpler.
little bit
There's nothing
easier.
more powerful. I mean, I closed down my staging business about a year ago now. And of course, I still have people coming to me needing staging. I'm not just going to say to them, oh, sorry, I can't help you. No, I'm going to send them to the right people. And I have about 4 or 5 companies on my referral list. Who I send them to depends on who they are, where they're located, the type of service they're looking for, type of personality they have. Like there's some screening that happens before they
Yeah.
just get a random referral. I mean, I can't tell you how often people are like, do you have someone to refer me to for a stage? I'm like, well, yeah, but I need some more details before I can do that. Well, no, just give me a name. Like, yeah, but like I got a lot of names. Like I want to know that you're going to be a good fit for each other because it doesn't do me any good to send you to someone that you're not going to mesh well with. So we want to make sure that those
Exactly.
referrals land properly. Yeah. And I
Yep.
mean, the interior design business, the industry as a whole, I would say, is definitely getting much more connected, but it has a long way to go, I think, before it can be what the home staging industry is. But I think that, you're clearly what you brought to the home staging industry in terms of that connection, you're now bringing to the equestrian industry. And I mean, there's really no limit to all of that. Like, what is what is beyond the stables? I mean, you bring so much value to other businesses, to your community. Are there other things that you are looking to venture into doing? Because I feel like you've got such a powerful message to be able to, like, how else can we bring sisterhood together here?
Absolutely. So number one, I just wrote a course on how to build a profitable boutique boarding facility.
Amazing.
And so I'm getting ready to record that. I've got it written. I've got the slides done. I've just got to do the voiceover. So it'll be awesome. I want to help other entrepreneurs in my boat and, give them tips and things. Like my barn is really well organized. The other things that set me apart is in my barn is that I have a whiteboard up in my barn with everybody's custom recipe for each its horse, because all horses are not created equal. They should not all eat the same stuff. And some stuff will kill another horse, so you can't give them. So everything's done that way. And I've got systems everywhere. Systems, Shauna Lynn, imagine those. They're for everybody. They're for everybody, people. And so I have my shampoo, rinse, repeat. And I even doing this horse goes in first, this one's second, this one's third, and you just get all your routines down. So I want to be able to share that knowledge with people to help them, because I get a lot of people even in the equine world now asking me things about what I do. Equine world, I'm particularly on TikTok. Instagram is just for fun for me, but I want to do that. And I still love business coaching. I love helping any woman entrepreneur just to help them get their business up and going, or inspire them in some way so they can motivate themselves to accomplish everything it is that they want to do. I love having a hand in it.
What would you say is, the one thing that if you could help a female entrepreneur with building their business and growing their business, is there something like where do they start? What is that sort of secret sauce to successfully building a business? I know, because we're all looking for that one magical thing that's just going to skyrocket our business, but where would you say that it's all rooted for females starting out?
Commitment and discipline.
Yeah, I love that.
Everybody can have the want and you can have the wish, but if you don't have the commitment and the discipline to sit down and to bunker down and make it happen, it doesn't happen. So you've got to have that passion for it. And I've always said everything that I've done where I've touched where I did something really, really well is because I believe it. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to succeed at it. It's like, you can go, when I was young Kirby vacuum cleaners. Remember those?
Yeah.
Remember how I was like, a Kirby vacuum weighed more than I did at the time when I sold them, but yet I wasn't into it. So I wasn't really great at it. Even though I'm a great salesperson, it was a vacuum cleaner, Shauna Lynn. And I just, at that young, ripe age or whatever I was, 18, 19, 20, just wasn't my gig. And so I was not very successful at that. But there are other things that I was successful at. So it's one of those things, you just have to find your passion with it. And if you believe in it and you really, really want it, you can absolutely create it. You just got to be strategic about what you do, be clear on your intentions, call in for the resources when you need them sooner rather than later, so you don't get frustrated and don't get burned out. You just have to be strategic in what you do and committed every single day. Especially if you're working an entrepreneur where you're working from home, a home office, you've got to get up, you've got to get your coffee in the morning, sit down, do your thing. You get dressed every day in regular clothes. I get dressed when I have to be on film.
Right.
It's a little bit of a difference but the way that I juggle my days, I'm able to do that. But there have been times where I've had to get dressed every day because I wasn't having the motivation, and I saw it and I'm like, okay, I've got to get dressed today. I got to make my bed today, because there's something about that type of motivation that gets you off to the best start of your day. And it's true. So if somebody's lagging at home and you're running around in your bunny slippers, get dressed.
I love how you just associated that with commitment, because I think people are thinking, well, I am committed. You might say you're committed. You might in your heart feel like you're committed, but are you taking the actions to really be committed? And I think that's the other thing, is that sometimes we don't necessarily know what those actions are, but you've got to keep taking that next step. Have you truly done everything you can possibly do? to bring in more business, to grow your business, to run a better business, to improve on some aspect of your business. If you are not getting repeat clients, what's happening with your customer service? If you're not getting sales, what's happening in your sales funnel? I mean, it's not, I'm not going to say it's simple to dissect it all, because it's so multifaceted, especially these days.
Yeah.
There's so many businesses out there. It's so complex at times. But if you commit to each aspect of that business on a daily basis, it's almost impossible not to make it work.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I actually have a sign in my hallway that says, some people wish it would happen, or some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen. Others make it happen.
Yeah.
And like, that's my favorite. Like, yeah, you got to be someone who makes it happen. And I think that's really the key to success.
Yeah. You've got to have the discipline to get up every day and just continue forward, even on the days where you feel like you've been kicked in the teeth. It's great. Everybody is going to get kicked in the teeth. You are sulk on it for a minute, 60 seconds, and then let it go. And, if you really need it, do 3 minutes, but get out of that space and just get back at it.
I've spoken about this on numerous webinars. It's been spoken about on this podcast, but it's the secret to motivation, which is that there is no secret. Discipline gives you motivation. It's not motivation that you're not just going to wake up one morning and feel motivated. Like, it's discipline.
No,
so discipline is building those habits and doing it on the days that you don't feel like it, so that it becomes muscle memory. You have to. Yeah. I mean, that's how I get my workouts in. That's how I grow my business. That's how, you get the things done that need to get done, because you're not always going to feel motivated. If you're always waiting for that magical motivation, like a sparkle in the sky or something like that,
I've never found that. I wish. It would be nice, but there's something about doing the work that
absolutely.
You just got to do the work. It's that it really is that simple. You've just got to do the work. Yeah. And on the days that you don't want to have the discipline to get up and do it anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, don't take a minute for yourself when you need it. Absolutely. And that's the other thing that I learned. The biggest thing, entrepreneurship is not for sissies. Let me tell you, it is just not for sissies. But one thing that I've learned now in my 55 years on the planet that I wish I would have known when I was younger is taking time for yourself. Having something for you. It's like they say on the airplane, you have to put your mask on first before you can help others. Well, there's been decades of my life where I was bottom of my list because I'm out there caring for everybody else. I'm a mother, a grandmother, an auntie, whatever. I'm doing all these things for everybody else in the world except for me. So I strongly recommend that anybody that's an entrepreneur have a hobby, have something that you do for yourself, whether it's taking an hour bath every night with a good book and a glass of wine or whatever you want to do, to a hobby as big as horses. Sure. Have something. I don't care what it is. I do not care what it is. As long as it brings some joy to your heart, that's what I want to see people doing in addition to running your business. It's imperative.
It is absolutely imperative. It is. It's so crucial to allow yourself mental breaks, physical breaks, everything. So motivation and discipline doesn't necessarily mean that you are constantly working all of the hours of all of the days. It simply means that you have the discipline to understand what your responsibilities are and ensuring that you are prioritizing what needs to get done on a daily basis, and not just fluffing it off as, oh, I'll just deal with that when I absolutely have to. Like, there are certain things that we all have to do as business owners that we don't necessarily want to do, but you've got to have that outlet as well. For me, I just take off to a Tough Mudder every now and then, and that usually rejuvenates me pretty nicely.
That'll do it. I get rejuvenated when I'm watching it. I'm so envious of them because I've always wanted to do one. And I almost did one a few years ago in Vegas with my friend Robin. And I cut loose out of it. I'm like, dude, I'm never going to survive this. You are built differently than I am. I'm into it. I want to do it. I want to think that I can do it, but I don't think my body can physically do it. So I bailed on it, but I would love to do one.
You would love it. And this is a bit of a digression, but I'm gonna bring it back to exactly what we're talking about. So everyone, just bear with me for a moment. One of the things that I love about doing a Tough Mudder, for anyone who's not familiar with it, it is a 10+ mile obstacle course. There's usually 25 to 30 obstacles throughout the course. But what's extra special about it is it's actually been designed so that you are not intended to complete it on your own. The camaraderie of this event is the most phenomenal and heartwarming and awe-inspiring thing that I have ever experienced. And I was hooked after my first one. You have a bit of an introduction. This lovely gentleman, Sean Corvell, does all the intros for every single mudder. I have met this guy numerous times now. He's been doing it since 2011. My first Mutter was in 2013. So he's been at every single one of my events. And he has you, look around you. And basically he's like, this is your team. If you see one of these people down on the ground, you're going to help them up. And the idea is that we help each other get through all the obstacles. On the last 2 Mutters that I've done, I've had the same thing happen on the same obstacle, which is actually kind of funny. But essentially, these obstacles, they're no joke. And so I've had a couple of people. So one person on this last event, it was similar in the previous event, who wasn't in the greatest shape. And this is the other thing too. There are people who do this course who are missing limbs, who are blind, who are deaf, who have a variety of ailments, who are older, younger. Like, I mean, I was watching 10-year-old kids and 75-year-old women. Like, it's just, it runs the gamut. There is no limit on who can do this, because if you are determined, if you can put your mind to it, you can complete these obstacles. And so I get to this one obstacle, and there's a woman there. She's not in the same sort of physical shape that I'm in, I'll admit, but she's showed up, and that's all that matters. She showed up. So she's struggling with this one particular obstacle. She's about to give up, and I stopped her. I did the exact same thing the last event. I stopped her and I said, if you want to complete this obstacle, I will help you complete it. She's like, no, I'm not sure. Like, it's a little bit hard. I said, no. I said, my friend and I that have done these, this was our 8th Mutter. We've done these many times. We will talk you through. You're going to put your foot here. You're going to put your other foot here. You're going to put your hand here. We told her exactly where to put everything to get her over this wall. Literally a physical wall, not just a philosophical one or a metaphoric one. Literally get her over this wall, but on her own. I didn't do it for her. I just gave her the boost that she needed to be able to do it. And then I helped 6 of her teammates get over that wall as well. And every one of them, of course, is just like thanking me. But I'm like, no, that's fine. Now you're the last person. You're going to take my spot here, and you're going to help the next person. And I went on and completed the rest of the events. And this is every single one of these obstacles. People are helping me. I'm helping other people. And that's just what you want in life. And the idea is that you do this event and you take all of that back with you as well. And that's what I bring into it. It's what I need to rejuvenate. It's what I need to replenish. And it's just such an awe-inspiring reminder of just how good humans really are. And we see that in business on a daily basis, of people lifting each other up. And I want to see more of that.
It reminds me of a quote from Zig Ziglar. That's dating myself now.
I love Zig Ziglar. Yes.
I had lunch with his granddaughter years ago at WCR. She was great too, but he had a saying that went something like, the more people I help become successful, the more successful I am.
Yes.
And I definitely believe that. I like watching Gordon Ramsay's kitchen master chef kids. If everybody could just act like they're 8 or 9 years old when it comes to competition, because these little kids are out there going, good job, good job. It's okay, Brandy, don't cry. It was good anyway.
Yeah.
It's okay. That made them sick, but you did a good job. And it's so authentic with these little guys, and they haven't been jaded yet with all the trials and tribulations of adulting. And it's just, if everybody could just lead from just giving from the heart, try to give somebody else a leg up, be kind to everybody, and just practice that on the daily. It's kind of a no-brainer, and it's a win-win situation.
It'll pay you back in spades. I promise
Tenfold.
you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I always enjoy chatting with you, of course. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Shell Brodnax Official. You can find me on Facebook. Everything is my name, Shell Brodnax.
Wonderful. Shell, thank you so much for joining me today. It was my pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you always.
Thank you. So listen, if you've been listening to today's podcast and what we're saying here today is resonating with you, do us a favor, share it with someone else that can get value out of this. Until next time, everyone, keep thriving.
Bye-bye.